Since I started the worst Pokemon series about a year ago now, I've gotten a decent amount of angry comments from people who just like the Pokemon that were featured in that specific episode. Even though I say this in just about every single worst Pokemon episode, the worst Pokemon series analyzes Pokemon from a competitive standpoint, and sadly not every single Pokemon is good competitively, and of course there are some Pokemon that are just better than others. In this video, I wanted to discuss exactly what makes a Pokemon bad and thus a candidate for the worst Pokemon series. Again, the worst Pokemon series isn't a series where I just objectively bash random Pokemon. It is a series where we analyze some of the worst Pokemon out there, discuss why they are bad, and how they can be used effectively. Before we get too far into this video, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really does help the channel grow. So the first question we have to answer here is, what exactly is competitive Pokemon? Surprisingly, I get a lot of comments from people saying that a certain Pokemon is good competitively since they use it in-game to beat gym leaders or against the battle tree. However, it's very important to keep in mind that these type of battles are not competitive battles. A competitive battle would either be a standard 6v6 Smogon type battle against another opponent who has a competitive team and competitive knowledge, or in a VGC setting against an opponent with, again, a competitive team and competitive knowledge. Just because a battle is against another person doesn't mean it's necessarily competitive, since if someone is using a team that they use to beat the game in a Wi-Fi battle, it's most likely not a very well optimized team that'll fare well online. This is why having competitive knowledge is very important, since if you play against somebody who doesn't even know the basics like type advantages, like maybe somebody on the lowest rating of battle spot, then this really isn't a competitive battle. So now that we established what a competitive Pokemon battle is, what factors make a Pokemon bad competitively? In the worst Pokemon series, I rate each Pokemon on 5 categories being offense, defense, versatility, move pool, and viability on a scale 1 to 5. If a Pokemon performs poorly in all of these categories, then it is deemed to be a bad Pokemon, but we can break that down even further. Now when picking a Pokemon for the worst Pokemon series, I look at the comments for suggestions first, and then I look up those Pokemon's typings, move pool, stats, and ability, amongst a few other factors. Usually when a Pokemon is bad, it is because it is lacking one of these categories, or severely lacking in one of these categories. For example, if we look at a Pokemon like Regigigas, it has a pretty decent typing being mono-normal, a very good move pool, and very good stats, but it is severely lacking when it comes to its ability Slow Start, which is the only reason why Regigigas is such a bad Pokemon. It excels in pretty much every single category, but that one negative in its ability being Slow Start holds it back so much, which is why it was featured in the worst Pokemon series a few months ago. And then you have other Pokemon such as Unknown, which lack in every single one of these categories, making it a bad Pokemon. Transversely, there are Pokemon that lack in multiple of these categories, but greatly excel in one of these categories, which is what makes it so good. One of the best examples I could think of is the Pokemon Superior, as prior to receiving the Contrary ability, it was a terrible Pokemon that was never used, but gaining the ability Contrary made it so strong thanks to its access to the move Leaf Storm. Outside of that, Superior's really only good stat is speed, so this ability really helped it out. And then there's a Pokemon like Glaceon, which by far has received the most hate out of any worst Pokemon episode, which, oh my god, I didn't realize how many Evolution fans there are out there, especially Glaceon fans. And Glaceon's one of those Pokemon that is pretty lackluster in all of the categories that we mentioned. Glaceon's special attack is definitely its best quality, and its defenses are pretty good, although it is very slow, has a pretty low HP stat, and has a very poor defensive typing in Ice on top of its shallow move pool and poor abilities, is what makes it a bad Pokemon competitively. Now I'm almost certain that most of the Glaceon hates come from Glaceon fans who don't exactly know what competitive battling is, so I can understand why they get mad because they see a video of me talking about their favorite Pokemon in a less than positive light. But I do still think it is extremely important to stress that the worst Pokemon series analyzes Pokemon from a competitive setting, and sadly, even if you like a certain Pokemon, this isn't necessarily a matter of opinion. Some Pokemon are just bad competitively or straight up outclassed by others, which is why they aren't used very often in a competitive setting, whether it be VGC or in a Smogon battle. This isn't like the anime or playing through the regular Pokemon games, unfortunately, since in a competitive setting, people will have more rounded teams, and they won't have teams that consist of just one type like many gym leaders do. I hope this cleared some things up for the worst Pokemon series and gives you guys a better understanding for how a Pokemon is picked for the worst Pokemon series. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are new, of course. And have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys next time, and bye-bye.